Star Wars is dead. No, I'm kidding, but also not really. The episodic nature that made the Book of Boba Fett absolutely horrendous to watch has put the final nail in the coffin of The Mandalorian. And I know that sounds dramatic, but Favreau and Filoni lost the ability to write interesting standalone episodes. It worked okay in the first season, but at that point we were still brand new to the characters and the concepts, and so we were open to that form of storytelling. But the second season was objectively better, and in my opinion that was mainly because it had an overarching narrative. The whole point of Season 2, the quest if you will, was to see Din Djarin return Grogu to the Jedi, completing his mission as a Mandalorian taking care of a foundling, as well as ensuring the future of the Jedi. And that was a great story. Even if Luke Skywalker hadn't made a cameo in the finale, it would have been a great season. It helped us all forget how terrible the sequel trilogy had been and led us to believe that there was hope for the future of the Star Wars franchise. But to me, it seems evident that Favreau just isn't passionate about this project anymore. He's run out of ideas. And I think the first 5 minutes of this episode are a great example of that. Remember the Mandalorians that used to serve with Bo-Katan in Season 2? Well, after she failed to acquire the Darksaber, they dumped her, took the fleet that they had acquired, and became mercenaries. We're reintroduced to them as they capture a Mon Calamari prince who had fled his home planet because of forbidden love. This scene was really cringe. It was like cheesy romance dialogue from a 50s movie. And I get the feeling that we're supposed to care about it because it's a cross-species relationship between a Quarren and a Mon Calamari, two races in the Star Wars universe that have been at war since forever, except that it has nothing to do with the show's main plot, and they aren't seen again. The same goes for Jack Black, who plays a former Imperial, now consort to the queen of the planet Plaisir 15, because on top of that first 5-minute weird scene, this episode takes a detour to have Din Djarin and Bo-Katan solve the mystery of malfunctioning battle droids, which ultimately doesn't matter. The fact that you had cameos of Jack Black and the professor himself, Christopher Lloyd, who plays the villain of this episode, if you can really call him that, but none of it really matters. And if you watched my review of the last episode, which I'll link at the end of this video, I was excited about that one. We learned that Moff Gideon did in fact escape captivity and was possibly kidnapped by Mandalorians. That's something we know for sure, whereas one of my theories from that episode is based off of the fact that I feel like the armorer has been acting suspiciously. I know it's hard to tell since she's wearing a helmet, but I think that she has ulterior motives for everything that she's been doing, especially announcing Bo-Katan to be the future ruler of Mandalore according to prophecy. Now, as I mentioned, the beginning and end of this episode keep the main story moving forward. But most of the episode sees Bo-Katan, Din Djarin, and Grogu helping a planet solve its malfunctioning droid problem. This is a problem that actually could have been interesting until they revealed the perpetrator was just the head of security played by Christopher Lloyd, a former separatist who believes that the consort of the current ruler, a former Imperial, has steered the planet away from its former greatness. So he causes the droids to behave erratically as his revenge. You could see where that plot was going from a mile away. Also, what was with the fat chick who looked like she was going to eat Grogu? Why did she knight him at the end when he hadn't done anything other than eat and play games? At first I was intrigued by the story. This former Imperial, played by Jack Black, seemed like he could be a suspect. Perhaps he was serving Moff Gideon, maybe another warlord, or he was just a guy on his own trying to get revenge for the Empire. Using battle droids and Imperial droids as servants seemed like a weird choice, even for an independent planet. The conspiracy grew deeper when it was revealed that the droids malfunctioned because of a code embedded in an oil shipment. Din and Bo-Katan end up investigating a droid bar and learn that the droids also don't like the incidents because they don't want their planet to get rid of them and be scrapped by the New Republic. Again, I thought that there was some Imperial remnant conspiracy taking place, but no. It was just an old man who didn't like the direction his planet was going in. And to be fair, this is a filler plot, not relevant to the main story, but they could have made it more interesting. I'm not saying they need to tie everything into the Empire and Moff Gideon or Thrawn, but that doesn't mean they can't write a story well, which I don't feel like they did. Speaking of poor writing, the way that Bo-Katan gets the Darksaber at the end of the episode is a total cop-out. At the end of Season 2, when Din Djarin defeated Moff Gideon and became worthy of the Darksaber, they made a big deal out of the fact that Bo-Katan couldn't just accept the Darksaber as a gift. The armorer even mentions in the Book of Boba Fett that Bo-Katan at one time attempted to rule Mandalore using the Darksaber, although she didn't earn it, and that's what led to her downfall. This is in reference to a story in Star Wars Rebels in which the young Mandalorian Sabine Wren simply gave the darksaber to Bo-Katan. The whole point of this episode is for Bo-Katan to regain leadership over the Mandalorian contingent that abandoned her after she failed to acquire the darksaber the first time. Even after she defeats the current leader Axe Woves, they don't accept her because Din Djarin is literally standing right next to her with the darksaber. That is until when Din Djarin tells them about how when he went to explore Mandalore, he was captured by an enemy that took the darksaber. Bo-Katan defeated that enemy, therefore the darksaber actually belongs to her. Now, is that technically correct according to the Mandalorian code? Yes. Is it lazy writing? Also yes. It's been evident for a while that Din Djarin wasn't going to become the new Mandalore, and that despite the obstacle of getting the darksaber from Din Djarin, that Bo-Katan would somehow lead Mandalore once again. Or at least that's what I thought. Keep in mind that Season 2 came out all the way back in 2020, and I would guess that the writing for that season happened at least a year out from filming. So let's say 2018, 2019 is when they started writing the Bo-Katan narrative. That means that they've had roughly 3 to 5 years to plan this out, and what we got tells me they could have used that time a lot better. You can't blame COVID anymore for lousy entertainment. Not that you could blame COVID for bad writing, which ultimately is the problem here. The Mandalorian was more or less Disney's last chance to bring Star Wars back to greatness. Will they continue making money off of the franchise? Yes, but they should be making a lot more. The ratings should be much higher. This is it. The Mandalorian is it. They don't have any movies coming out soon. The Bad Batch is garbage. Clone Wars ended years ago. Obi-Wan Kenobi and Boba Fett, which should have been absolute layups for Disney, were complete dumpster fires. The complaint about Star Wars used to be that it was too woke. A character like Rey was a Mary Sue. But now, let's be honest with ourselves. The writing just sucks. But what do you guys think? Am I being overdramatic? Can Star Wars still make a comeback? Are you actually enjoying The Mandalorian and The Bad Batch? Let me know in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like and subscribe button as well as the notification bell so that you never miss out on a new video. Thanks for watching.